What is going on, Tiger fans? And quickly before we get into this video, I want to say thank you to everyone that had watched the triumphant return of Baseball Banter. You want to talk about a blast from the past. That was the first time that Mike and I had made a video since 1914, almost 10 years ago, guys. Insane. I want to thank Mike for doing that. Him and I are going to be back to do another Baseball Banter when the World Series starts. And next year, I'm going to bring back Baseball Banter. No joke this time. I know I said that a lot this year, but I'm going to bring it back, but in a different capacity. I'm going to try to get Mike to do a couple episodes a month. And then my brother, he's going to start becoming a little bit more prevalent on the channel, because I feel like when I have a co-host and another voice, it keeps me more on track. It makes me ramble less, and it's nice to have another opinion on the channel just besides me talking myself up, thinking, my opinion's the best opinion. Wink, wink. But he's going to be on the channel. I'm going to try to get him to do Baseball Banter videos with me, along with Mike next year, and he's going to be in some more Tiger videos next year. Quickly, before we get into the top 10 games of the year, in my opinion, I wanted to give a little bit of a shout-out and a little bit of a thank you to Albert Pujols. That's why I have a random-ass picture frame sitting on top of pictures, because I got this poster, and Albert Pujols was one of my favorite players as a kid. I wish I have my old Photo Bucket account. I had made like a video of like my top favorite swings in the MLB in like 2008, and Pujols was on there, and Ryan Howard, and who else did I have on there? Prince Fielder. I loved all those guys, and seeing his career come to an end, how it came to an end, with the way the wild card games have been, which have been some of the best games. What a hell of a way to start out the wild card series. And to see him and Yachty now be done, I felt this was fitting to have a random picture frame behind me sitting for a whole video, so you guys can enjoy. So, top 10 games of the year. Next video is going to be the off-season preview and outlook. I'm going to have my brother in that video, because we're going to go by and talk about guys who we think are going to be gone and positions they may upgrade. But that's the next video. This video, I want to do something positive. We're going to talk about, in my opinion, the top 10 games of the year. You're going to notice a common theme that most of these games were from August up, because that's when the Tigers played the majority of their best baseball. Number 10 is the only loss on the list. Now, it had to be the only loss on the list because of the historic nature of the game. Miggy becomes the third player ever to have 600 doubles, 500 home runs, and 3,000 hits. The Tigers lose this game 3-2, but Miggy's 600th double in the top of the third inning off of Framber Valdez put the Tigers temporarily ahead. And this is right in the series where Austin Meadows first started having all the vertigo issues. And this was also the game where Michael Fulmer had the troubles with the walks in the 8th inning. He ended up walking in 2 runs, and the Tigers ended up losing this game 3-2. And oddly enough, they had a 4-game set with Houston that series, and 3 of the 4 games are all 3-2 losses. And I did want to show this. This is an actual ball from that game. Spencer Torkelson walked against Framber Valdez on this pitch. I think it was like the 3rd pitch or 4th pitch of the at-bat, but this is an actual ball from Miguel Cabrera's 600th double game. So I figured that was pretty cool to show you guys that. All right, so excuse me. I had to rearrange this list a couple times because as I was writing this list, I changed games. Number 8, Harold Castro's big day, and this is a recent game, 9-27-22. The Tigers were being shut out going into the 8th inning of this game. And Harold Castro ends up walking it off in the 10th. He ends up going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Riley Green starts off the scoring in the 8th with an RBI single. Then Castro ties the game up with a 2 RBI single. And then he walks it off in the 10th with 2 outs and a runner on second. This was obviously a couple weeks ago, so I remember the game well, but how clutch that was. The Tigers were just, the offense looked absolutely terrible the majority of this game, and then they ended up scoring 3 in the 8th, and then Harold Castro gets the walk-off with 2 outs in the 10th for 3 RBIs. And remember, coming into this game, Harold Castro he had a big slump where he went like 0 for 29. So Castro was starting to work out of the slump, and to have 3 hits that quickly and 3 RBIs, that was a really fun game. So number 9, that was number 8. I already fucked this list up because I can't read my writing. So number 10 was Miggy's 600th double game. Number 8 was Harold Castro's big day, and as all good countdown lists, I'm going to go in reverse order. Number 9 was Garrett Hill's historic debut, and I'm mad at myself that I messed this up, because as you guys can see, I rearranged this list and I put stars on the ones, but, this is why I'm not a journalist and I do stupid YouTube videos. Number 9 game is Garrett Hill's historic debut. Hill became the first Tigers pitcher in his major league debut to pitch at least 6 innings, give up 2 or less hits, and only 1 earned run. Miguel Cabrera had 2 RBIs this game. Baez and Tucker had an RBI each. The Tigers won this game 4-1. This was memorable in the fact, not so much. So the criteria for this list, I should have prefaced this. The criteria for this list was how easily do you remember the game in your mind. It had to be something that right away you remember it. Right away it was an event that happened. Right away it's like, yep, I remember this game out of a whole 162. So that's how I did this list. And this game isn't so memorable for like a bunch of offensive explosions and performances. This remembers because of a historical event. And Hill pitched very well. The best that any Tigers pitcher's ever done with at least 6 innings pitched. And the Tigers win this game, so that obviously helps. So not so much like a major offense performance, something like that, just Hill doing what he did and being the first Tigers pitcher ever to do that. So, and Hill, we all know, ended up pitching pretty okay. He made some spot starts, came out of the bullpen a bunch. So, but to have that kind of debut after making his journey up from Toledo was pretty good too. So now we are on number 7, and I want to make sure I didn't mess this up. Okay, finally, I used my eyes. Number 7, this game was actually phenomenal. 9-19-22. Tyler Alexander's almost no-hit bid. Now, you could put a caveat on it. He gave up a hit in the top of the 7th. He was still 9 outs away from getting a no-hitter. But this game was overall one of the most fun games to watch this year because the Tigers ended up scoring 4 runs in the 5th inning. In this game alone, Riley Green was 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Mickey was 2 for 4 with an RBI. Torque was 3 for 4 with 2 doubles. And Ryan Kreidler was 1 for 2 with 3 RBIs. They ended up scoring 11 runs and shut out the Orioles this game. Now, remember, guys, the Tigers coming into this series, they were coming off a horrifically bad, like a 1-5 homestand. They were coming into Baltimore, and Baltimore had been playing well. They were coming into Baltimore limping, and this is when the Tigers, for their last almost 3 weeks of the season, really started to play well. And they ended up scoring 11 runs. Alexander almost has a near no-hitter, and he was struggling too coming into this game. Pitched as well as he did. And then the Tigers would win this game, win the next game, and then be complete gamed. I think they may have scored. They did because Kerry Carpenter hit a home run. Kerry Carpenter hit a home run. They were complete game, 1 run against them. And then the Orioles would have had that weird stretch where they had like 3 starters go complete games in a row, or near complete games in a row. But this game was awesome. I remember Torque's, Riley's double was an absolute piss missile in the gap. Torque, his second double was off of a position player, and he hit it off of the monstrosity of a wall out there in left field. But what a great game. This was the best offense the offense had looked in like a week because they had that horrible homestand. And then for Alexander to pitch as well as he did, the offense, the performances, and it sucks. Kerry Carpenter, this was before he went back-to-back home runs because he had a home run in the next 2 games in a row. So it sucks he wasn't able to get that in there on this, but awesome, awesome, awesome game. They needed that win really bad because they were playing horrible, and this is what spawned their really the best baseball of the year. And I think, oddly enough, this was like a game or 2 after they had hired Scott Harris. So, great game. All right, so now we are on number 6, and let me check to make sure I didn't flip-flop this. I didn't. Great. All right, number 6, 9-9-22. Joey Wentz goes home and gets his first Major League win against the Kansas City Royals. He goes 6 2/3, 5 Ks, 1 walk, first MLB win. Now, Joey Wentz, I like Joey Wentz a lot, and you guys got to remember why this game is so special, because Joey Wentz came up, and he got absolutely obliterated in his Major League debut. Gets a second start. He goes 4 innings, pitches a gem, hurts his shoulder. He then, for 2 months, had to go and work to get back. And they didn't bring him back up right away. He pitched in low A Lakeland and rehabbed some. And then he came and pitched in Toledo, I think for 5 starts before the Tigers before they finally designated Michael Pineda for assignment. And then they gave Joey Wentz a spot in the rotation. And Wentz really shined. When Wentz came back, his command had cleaned up a lot. We only saw Wentz have a couple of missed starts with his command. And I would say probably his last start. But his changeup command got better. His fastball command, throwing first pitch strikes, is way better. And we saw just how filthy that left-handed curveball was from him. So for Wentz to come back, to have his first major league win close to where he was born, amazingly good game. Haas hit two home runs this game. Torque was three for 5. Almost had his second home run in 2 games. Remember, this is, I don't want to ruin my list, but this was the game after the game they had in Anaheim where Haas was 5 for 5. And that may or may not be on this list. We will see. But Haas had 2 more home runs. Torque had a double. Jamer had 3 hits. This was one of the only good games that Jamer had. You could count pretty much on one hand all the good games that Jamer had. The game in Texas, Baltimore. That was really about it. And then Riley had 2 hits, and the Tigers routed the Royals 10-2. A really, really good game, and one of Wentz's best starts of the year. Number 5. Now we're getting to the top 5. 7-22. Riley Green's first major league home run. And I'm sure you guys are rolling your eyes. Well, of course, it's a Riley Green thing. You're obsessed with Riley Green. He's your favorite player. Guys, this game, you got to remember, they're playing the Royals. Victor Reyes had just come back. He had only had a few ABs back after being hurt. He hits his first home run of the year in this game. Right field, right above the triangle. Very next guy comes up. Riley Green this game almost had a triple. He almost went into he had a triple. He almost went into the opposing team's bullpen. What does he do? Dead center field. 425 feet into the shrubbery. And hits his first major league home run for a walk-off. If it was just a regular walk-off win, it would have been a little bit further down on the list. It would have made the top 10, yeah. I mean, you got a team that didn't win 70 games. It's not hard to have, top 10 games out of, only almost, 67 wins. But the fact that Victor Reyes hit his first home run of the year, and then Riley Green followed that with a back-to-back shot to complete the walk-off to beat Kansas City, guys, that's one of the best games of the season. They end up winning this game 4-3 after being down 2-3 in the 9th. Absolutely crazy game. And it was how deep the home run. Come on, guys. Dead center for your first MLB tank, and you go back-to-back with Victor Reyes. What a great game. Okay, so number 4. I almost screwed this up. What is this one? Riley's debut game. 6-18-22. Now, I was at this game. I remember reading, I was on here all season going, they need to call up Riley Green. They need to call Riley Green. As soon as he was healthy and he was rehabbing in Toledo. How many weeks, guys, did I bitch? Come on, they need to call up Riley Green. Their offense is struggling so bad. And this was at the peak of their offense, barely being able to score 3 runs a game. They were horrifically bad. Riley Green comes up, and I make a video called The Riley Green Factor. Just bringing up someone with energy, bringing up someone that could help create runs. And what had happened, they end up winning this game 14-7. I drive up that Saturday morning to go to the Tigers game. Or no, I came up Friday night, go up. My brother and I made a video before the debut game, and we go up, and I'm thinking, Riley's going to do okay. I thought it was awesome that, Hinch put Cody Clemens in the lineup and Torkelson in the lineup and Riley Green in the lineup. And I have a picture on Twitter of all 3 of those guys hugging before Riley's first major league game. And I was like, man, talk about the future. And obviously I didn't know about, we didn't know how Cody Clemens' season was going to go yet. But neither here nor there. Riley Green, first AB of the game, reaches on a single, bloops it into left field off of Taylor Hearns, left on left. And he hit left-handers great this year, like I said he would. And this game, I'll never forget because I was sitting in the stands and I was just talking so much shit to the Tigers because by then I was so sick of how bad the offense was. I was yelling how many home runs that, Aaron Judge had and how many the Tigers had had. And the Tigers had only had like 54, 55 home runs, and Judge was sitting on like 33 or 34 at the time. So I was yelling the amount of home runs, and all of a sudden in the first inning, Robbie Grossman hits a home run. And I'm like, wait, what? He hits his first home run of the year. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I'm like, Baez came up that game, and I will never forget this. And I'm like, if Javier Baez hits a home run right here, we got some angels in the outfield stuff going on. So Javier Baez hits a home run, and I'm in the stands doing the angels in the outfield wave, like they did at the very end of Angels in the Outfield when they're trying to get the pitcher to be able to get through the last Tony Danza, to be able to get through the last batter, even though there wasn't an angel there to psych him up. But great game. I actually the cover photo of my YouTube channel is from that game. That picture that I took when Riley got a second hit, reaches base 4 times, and the Tigers had their most runs scored in the entirety of the season. They scored 14 runs that game and ended up beating the Rangers 14-7. I remember Corey Seager hit a home run this game. Dolis Garcia hit a home run this game. The Rangers scored some in garbage time, but what a fun game. The fact that I was there, the fact that I was seeing it, and I finally get to see one of my favorite players who I was begging for to get called up, be able to be at his Major League debut on top of I was at Torkelson's Major League debut. It meant a lot to me, and it was just a great game this season. Okay, so number 3. This is one of my favorite games all year. I will never forget this game. We're just going to go to a couple of key moments right quick. Torkelson was only back for a couple of games coming into this game. Torkelson hits a 438-foot shot. I'm talking cannon. I don't know why Mike Trout even turned around over his head. Well, remember, this series, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout went off. The Tigers could not get them out this series. They were getting destroyed by them. Well, of course, Shohei hits a home run this game. Mike Trout might have hit a home run this game. And the Tigers are going in to the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, and I forget the reliever that had come up. Or no, it was the top of the 9th. I forget the reliever that had come up, but he was a lefty reliever, and left-handers had only gotten one hit off of him all year. All year, and it was a single. Kerry Carpenter comes up and hits a home run, and he hits it like perfectly with the foul line. It was only a couple of feet foul, rips it into that short wall, and we're tied. Now, Ryan Kreidler, when he had first got called up, he had a lot better swings than towards the back end when he started to struggle with the stick. But Kreidler had a couple of, he had almost had his first Major League home run the night before. This one goes dead central, close to the rocks. Carpenter and Kreidler go back to give the Tigers the lead. And then Gregory Soto comes out in the 9th and has to face Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. Ends up striking out those two guys to get 2 outs. Made it a little bit interesting, and I think he ended up striking out Mike before to get the 3rd out of that game. But one of my favorite games of the year. The fact that Kerry Carpenter got that home run off of a guy that only allowed one hit to left-handers coming into that game. And it was a single. And he hits a home run opposite field. And then Kreidler goes as deep as he does back-to-back. And he gets his first Major League home run to be a go-ahead home run. Torkelson hits a freaking moonshot in this game. And then Eric Haas, I can't even forget about Eric Haas. Eric Haas goes 5 for 5 this game. Everything they threw. I think Eric Haas had a home run this game. Torkelson had a home run this game. Carpenter had a home run this game. And Kreidler had a home run this game. Eric Haas, I think, had 2 doubles, a single. They could not get out Eric Haas. It was like they were underhand slow ball pitching this guy, a slow pitch softball. One of the most exciting games, historic performance by Eric Haas. And then Kreidler gets his first home run. The circumstance that Carpenter hit it, one of my favorite games of this season. Absolutely amazing game. One of my favorite ones this season. Okay, so number 2, opening day walk-off. Oh my goodness. I was at that game as well with my brother and a friend of mine named Caleb who used to do YouTube videos as well. And I'll never, ever forget this opening day because it was one of my favorite opening days I ever went to. It was cold, and the White Sox, I was coming into the game, and I remember saying the White Sox are a playoff team. It's going to be a hard one to win this game, but, we have expectations this year. We got Erod making his first start as a Tiger. He's going up against Lucas Giolito. Erod had some troubles with walks this game. Giolito ends up coming out because he had, something with his core going on. And you go to the 8th and ninth inning where the Tigers do most of their damage. I remember Austin Meadows had a triple this game. And then Miggy comes up against Liam Hendricks in the bottom of the 8th inning and hits a RBI single to score 2. And then we get to the bottom of the 9th. Javier Baez comes up. And this is after the Meadows triple. Javier Baez comes up, hits a ball. Everyone thinks it's going out. A.J. Pollock jumps up. It hits the wall just above his glove, falls off of the wall into his glove, and everyone thinks that, A.J. Pollock caught it. And they show the review, and it hits the wall first on his glove. What an amazing game, because you got to remember the circumstance. We were coming into this game. We all expected the Tigers to win more than they did last year of 77 games. We all expected the Tigers to win 83, 84 games this year. You had this team with new look, Javier Baez, Meadows. You got your high-priced pitcher on the mound, and Erod. There was just so much expectations and so much hype. And then Javier Baez in his first game as a Tiger hits a walk-off. The atmosphere was amazing. Being there with my brother and my friend Caleb, we were just going crazy. The stadium was shaking loud. It was one of my favorite games I've ever been to, and one of the best games of the year because there was just so much excitement. And we all thought, hey, this Tigers team, this could be what we could see this year. And it was far from that. Little did we know, but 2020 vision is hindsight, is 2020. But absolutely great game. Between the Miggy hit, how clutch he was, and, Meadows had a good day that day. One of the best games of the year. Okay, so last but not least, game number 1, top 10 game of the year. What do you guys think it was going to be? Miguel Cabrera gets 3,000 hits to join the 3,000 hit club. Tigers end up demolishing the Rockies in this game, 13-0. And oddly enough, this game was a doubleheader, and he did it in the first game of the doubleheader. And this was the biggest offensive outscoring they had was this game for the beginning of the season because I think they were only 14 games in at this point. And then the Tigers would lose the next 2 to the Rockies. And after this game, they went into this game, I think, 6-8 or 6-7. After this game, the Tigers would only win 3 more games. And at one point in time, I think they'd be 9-24 or 9-25. So this was the last of there's hope for the season games because they were right underneath it. But it was a huge offensive outpouring. They end up shutting him out. Tarek Skubal, this was his coming out party. 6 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. Torque hits an opposite field home run. Meadows had an RBI double. Miggy was 2 for 4. He gets his 3,000th hit, and the Tigers absolutely demolished. I remember because Meadows hit a bloop single into center field to score 2, which really broke it open. And then Torkelson had that opposite field home run, which was a shot to right field. And the Tigers destroyed them. And then after that, it was just that was pretty much the end of the Tigers season. Because they would only win 3 more games, and then they'd be 9-24. And it was pretty much ball game, boys, after that. But that was my top 10 games of the season. So to review them in order before I end this. Number 10, Miggy gets 600 doubles, become the 3rd player ever, 500 homers, 3K hits, 600 2Bs. Number 9 is Garrett Hill's historic performance, become the first Tigers pitcher ever to have 6 innings pitched, 2 or less hits, and 1 earned run on his debut. Number 8 is Castro's big day where he had 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and a walk-off in the bottom of the 10th with 2 outs. Number 7 was Tyler Alexander's near no-hit bid. And then the Tigers offense destroyed. Number 6 was Joey Wentz's homecoming. Number 5 was Riley Green's first Major League home run and walk-off. Number 4 was Riley Green's debut. Number 3 was Carpenter Kreidler go back-to-back. And Haas has a big day, 5 for 5. Number 2 was opening day walk-off. And number 1, Miguel Cabrera gets 3,000 hits. What do you guys think after watching this long video? What was your top 10 games of the year? Do you agree with my list? Would you reseed my list? I want to hear from you guys. I appreciate you guys watching as always. More content coming, better content coming. Next year is going to be a good year for this channel because I'm going to start making my videos a little more professional, a little more banter in there, more people, more opinions, more thoughts. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate the support. Thank you very much. And let me know your guys' top 10. Go Tigers.